All right.
I got you something yesterday.
Wow.
Okay. Did you figure out what room, Ava? Did you figure out what room? Okay. Where's Alexis? Not
She texted me like 10 seconds ago.
10 seconds ago.
It was like 10 minutes ago. She's here.
Yes. Okay, come here. Tell her you'll be done as soon as the 10 minutes is up.
Thank you. Can you just keep it? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Bye.
All good? Okay, good. There we go. Go Mitzi today. All right. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the last day before the unit test. So, first of all, questions that you have for me, things that you would like me to go over, things that you would like me to explain. And don't say it all because I can't do it.
Can we just go over some acid stuff again?
Okay, what kind of acids?
Give me 1 second.
One. I guess before we forget, ladies and gentlemen, this reminder at the bottom is very important, which is next Thursday is the last day for any missing work to be turned in. That will also be the last day for any retakes for Unit 3 test. So the test is tomorrow. That will give you a little over a week to do a retake on it if you need to. But please remember, you would have to do corrections first. And at the end of this week, I will cut off the retakes for Unit 2. Josie, go ahead now.
Ternary.
All right. Ternary acids. Good. We will get to that in just 1 minute here. For those of you who wanted it, here is a study guide, ladies and gentlemen. It is in today's daily agenda. That is the study guide for the test for tomorrow. So, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Oops, hang on. Really, the entire test is about naming formulas, ladies and gentlemen. That is what the whole thing is about. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when you are talking about this, we are going to, sorry, I'm just kind of half distracted here, ladies and gentlemen. At the start, we talked about why atoms combine, what it has to do with their valency electrons, what it has to do with charges and things like that. Then we named binary ionic compounds. Then we named ternary ionic compounds. Then we named binary covalent compounds. Then we did binary acids. Then we did ternary acids. And for each one of those, we did names and formulas. Of the 70 points on the test tomorrow, 60 of the points, ladies and gentlemen, 60 of the points will come from writing and naming formulas. Okay? The other 10 will be similar to the quiz questions at the end of or after I did the naming with you, where I asked you, why do we do the crisscross method? What is different about a covalent compound from an ionic? How do we identify a ternary compound? Things like that will be on the quiz as well, ladies and gentlemen. Questions?
Were you going to return our quizzes?
I am going to, yes. Okay. So, take a look at this. I guess you've got till I get your quizzes returned, and then we will move on to talk about ternary acids real quick. What's that? Cheers. Curtis.
I know, because it's all over.
Sasha.
You were in Allen's shoes, would you do that?
Abby.
If I was in Allen's shoes, because
I know why.
but like, it uses like
Maya. Abdi. Rome. Arham.
Arhan grabs her glasses again.
I don't care who you know, you should wear your glasses. Alexis. Josie. Faith. Austin. Olivia. Isaiah. Seth.
This one was confusing. This one was.
Hey.
Yo, I stole.
All right. All right. When we are doing a ternary acid, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ternary acid, if you are looking at a name, ternary acids do not have hydro at the beginning. So we recognize a ternary acid's name by it is either an ic acid or an OUS acid. Now be careful because ic acids also are binary. However, when you talk about a ternary acid, it does not begin with hydro like a binary does. So it either ends ic acid or us acid, and there is no hydro. If we are talking about the formula, there will be 3 elements or more. Sorry. Hydrogen at the beginning.
Is this all for ternary acids?
Yep. And AQ at the end. Now, if we have a formula, H3PO4, hydrogen is at the beginning. There are 3 elements in it. There is AQ at the end. That is a ternary acid.
Where's that slide that you put on the thing on the chest?
It's in the daily.
It's in the daily agenda. So, 3 elements. Okay? We named this based off of the polyatomic. This is the polyatomic, the PO4. PO4 is phosphate. With acids, ternary acids, ATE endings become ic acids. Thank you.
For what type? Ternary?
ITE acids or ITE polyatomics become OUS acids. This is what we talked about yesterday. So phosphate ending with an ATE will become phosphoric acid. That is the name of that ternary acid. Questions?
That cleared it up.
Okay? If you are looking at a name, ladies and gentlemen, so if the name is carbonous acid, This comes from carbonite. Carbonate is CO3. Carbonite is CO2. It has a -2 charge. We put it with hydrogen, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because that's what we do with acids. They're all with hydrogen. So hydrogen goes with it. The 2 from there comes down. That is the compound that we have, H2CO. Yep, there we go. And we put aqueous at the end. Questions? Go ahead.
So we could also say for name with phosphorus acid.
What's it?
Phosphorus acid also can end with OUS.
Any acid that is with a ternary compound can end with OUS or IC. It depends on the ending of the polyatomic. Here, it is OUS ending because this is from carbonite, ITE. ITE ending becomes an OUS acid. Here, this is phosphoric acid because it came from phosphate, and an ATE ending becomes an ic acid with a ternary compound. Questions? Other questions, other things that you have, ladies and gentlemen?
And every acid also ends with AQ on
When you write the formula for an acid, they will always, whether they are ternary or binary, begin with hydrogen. And you will always put AQ at the end because they have to be dissolved in water. Have to. What?
That's every.
That is every acid. Every acid has to be that way. Now, other compounds might be aqueous, but we haven't gotten into that yet. Questions?
Could we go over like the vice versa, like naming or writing the formulas for names for turning?
Well, I'm going to have you practice that right away. Why don't we do that first, and then we can go through some things. Okay? So there are no more specific questions right now. All right. So, okay. So here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to take these 10 names. Again, you can come up and grab a sheet of paper. You can do it on your own, whenever you wish. Take these 10 formulas and write names for them. But I also want you to do this, ladies and gentlemen. I would also like you to do this. I would like you to label the type of compound it is. These are the 5 types. Bi stands for binary ionic. Binary ionic means there are only 2 elements in your compound, and one of them must be a what? One of them must be a metal. Okay? You could also have a binary covalent compound. 2 elements again, but they are both what now? They are both nonmetals. We could also have a ternary ionic compound, meaning how many elements? 3, okay? 3, and there has to be a polyatomic involved. Now, you could also have a binary acid. How many elements? I was hoping this wouldn't be the hard part since we went through binary ionic and binary covalent. How many in a binary acid? 2 elements. But what is the first one? No. It's hydrogen. And it ends with AQ. 2 elements, one of them hydrogen at the beginning, ending with AQ, is a binary acid. The last one is a ternary acid. Now, a ternary compound has 3 elements. A ternary acid has 3 elements. But what is one of the elements? I'm agreeing with you, 3 capitals. But what is one of the elements in a ternary acid? Hydrogen at the beginning. So when you look at this first one, there are 3 elements in it. What does that tell you right away? Ternary. Now the question is it a ternary acid or is it a ternary ionic compound? Which one is it? Yes, this is a ternary acid. Why? It begins with hydrogen, has AQ, and has 3 elements. So that's all I want you to do is also list what kind of compound it is. Is it a binary ionic, a binary covalent, a ternary ionic, a binary acid, or a ternary acid? And then please name them. Sorry, sir. Right. Okay, so it's going to be binary because there's only 2. Now the question is that a metal or not metal? Okay, so now you're in a binary covalent compound. Binary covalent compounds are the ones where we use bi, or we use di, tri, tetra. We use the prefixes. We describe how many of the atoms are there, and then what atom is there. So for example, carbon dioxide. Carbon meaning 1 carbon, di meaning 2, oxides, oxygens, CO2. Okay? So that is what you are going to do when you name a binary covalent compound. You are going to literally describe how many and what is there.
have it? Is it always gonna be hydro?
No, because sometimes it will have an H in front and it will be a covalent or a ternary acid, and then it will not begin with hydro.
So do you ignore the H then?
No, the H tells you that it is an acid.
Yeah.
But when you name it, if it is a ternary acid, we do not begin those names with hydro.
Well, what would we put in place of the H then?
You wouldn't put anything. They're based named entirely off of the polyatomic like we did at the start.
So you ignore that.
If you want to say we're ignoring them because we're not writing down hydro, that is fine, but we're naming them based off of the polyatomic. But the H needs to be there because otherwise it's not an acid.
Well, yeah, in the first part, the H needs to be there, but in the second part, we don't have to put anything for the H, correct?
If it is a ternary acid, you do not need to indicate hydro, correct?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do we need more time, or are we good to start going over these?
It's an acid if it has an AQ after.
No, it is not an acid if it has an AQ
Not
after.
necessarily, it has to have-
It is an acid if it begins with hydrogen and then has the AQ afterwards. Because other compounds could have an AQ by them and that not be an acid. Well, which one do you know it isn't? First of all, you're about to write the name. It doesn't have prefixes because you didn't write any. Well, you're looking at a formula. From the formula, you can't tell if there's prefixes in it because you're not looking at a name. So, when you look at that formula, ask yourself, is that first element a metal or a nonmetal? If it's a nonmetal, then it is in fact a covalent compound. If it is a metal, then it is an ionic compound.
Ionic just starts with a metal, then what's the covalent starts with non-metal?
Correct.
Let's put that.
Did she say she was going to hold on to it?
Under the,
Okay.
this
I
is
have
a
to go
non-
over it with the, yeah, I'm gonna be late.
I will write you a pass to your next class.
yeah,
Thank you.
You said she was gonna wait for me to come back and
Yeah.
Okay, please go. But if this happens again, you will not be going until the end of the hour. Okay? It's not my fault and it's not her fault. She forgot something in her class. Okay? I'm sure she would have held on to it till the end of the hour for you, but please go ahead. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. All right. Now, the first one is a ternary acid. Okay. So, Josie, give me the name for this ternary acid, please.
Hydrosulfuric acid.
Please remember, ternary acids never begin with hydro.
Oh yeah.
So, what would this be?
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid. Okay, if you write down hydrosulfuric on the test, it will be wrong. Hydro is only used in a binary acid. All right. Number 2, AgNO3. Austin, what kind of compound is it?
Ternary ionic.
Ternary ionic. All right, Isaiah, give me the name.
Silver nitride.
Can you spell out the last 3 letters of that so I know what you said?
ITE.
Thank you. Silver nitrite. Very good. ITE ending, just so there's no misunderstanding, because NO3 is nitrate. This is lost in oxygen. Nitrite is perfect. Good. All right. Farhan.
Boron sulfur.
Okay. What kind of compound is this, Abdi? Number 3.
That is primary covalent.
Okay. So go ahead, Farhan. Give me the name.
That'll be boron sulfur.
Okay. You didn't put any prefixes in there. Binary covalent requires us to put prefixes in there to indicate how many of each thing there are in the compound. So, how many borons are there?
Mono.
How many borons are there?
1.
How many borons are there in this compound?
2.
So, how do we say 2? Diboron. Okay. How many sulfurs?
2.
Are you looking at the compound, sir?
You said sulfur, right?
Yes, S in this compound. Yeah. Don't look at your periodic table. Look at the formula here. Okay. 2 borons because of the 2 after the B. How many sulfurs?
1.
Okay. How do we say 1?
Mono.
Okay. Mono what?
Mono sulfur.
Not sulfur.
Sulfide.
Spell the last 3 letters.
Of sulfur.
Well, of the ending. I want to know how you're ending it. Are you ending it ITE, ATE, IDE? Sorry, but I want to make sure I'm clear on what you're telling me.
Oh, it'll be IDE.
Thank you.
Oh, that one.
So diboron monosulfide, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? All right. For number 4, what kind of a compound is number 4? Go ahead, Alex. Binary acid. All right. So, Marcus, what would be the name of this one? We're changing our mind?
No, I knew.
Isn't it like hydrophosphoric acid or something?
See, this is the thing. I'm asking you, and tomorrow I'm going to ask you, and it's going to count toward your grade.
No, it's hydrophosphoric. That's what it is.
So what is it?
Hydrophosphoric acid.
Hydrophosphoric Acid. Okay, hydrophosphoric acid. Good. Okay, Jack, FeP, what kind of compound is this? Binary ionic. All right, Pierce, what would be the name?
Iron 3 phosphide.
Iron 3 phosphide. Okay, all right. Go ahead. Sorry,
Question
Joseph.
about Roman numerals. Like, do you have to put the little line on top? Like,
You do not have to.
Okay.
You can put just 3 slashes for the 3. Okay. All right. So S3Cl6. Abby, what kind of compound? Binary covalent. All right. So now I need a formula for this one. Go ahead, Lizeth. Okay, Lizeth, look at the other binary covalent one over on the other side, number 3. We use prefixes and then what the element is. So, how many S's? How do we say 3? Okay, what's S? Okay. How do we say 6? And what's Cl? Perfect. Questions? Okay. BaBO in parentheses 2. Faith, what kind of compound is this? Okay, how many elements involve Faith?
2.
Faith, how many capital letters in number 7?
3.
So what does that make it? Okay, Faith, you have 2 choices, ternary ionic or ternary acid. Okay, good. Amaya, name it. Now, please double check your borate. What is borate normally? BO what?
3.
So how many oxygens have we lost to get down to BO? Because remember, the 2 is outside the parentheses. So we're down to 2, we're down 2 oxygens, right? So how do we write the name if we're down 2 oxygens? Hypoborite. Thank you. ITE. All right. H5B. Ariana, what kind of compound is this?
Binary acid.
All right. Good. Binary acid. All right. So Rome, what would be the name of this binary acid?
Hydroboric acid.
Hydroboric acid. Perfect. Questions? All right. Number 9. Haley, what kind of compound is this?
Ternary acid.
Very good. Ternary acid. 3 capital letters beginning with H, ending with AQ. All right. Janola, can you name this one for me? What is it? Borous acid. Perfect. Perfect. Borous, because we've lost one oxygen, it's borite. That becomes an OUS acid. COCN2, what kind of compound is this? What kind of compound is this, Abdi?
Ternary ion.
Ternary ionic, 3 capital letters. Good. So someone, go ahead, Ava. Cobalt to, I'm sorry, Ava, I just missed the end of this. Cyanide, very good. Cyanide. Questions? Now's the time to ask, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, write formulas for these 10 names, please.
For binary, like, what would that ending change to binary acids?
Binary acids always end in ic acid. Binary always begin with hydro and they end with ic acid.
Are we still naming the groups?
Please, it is a good idea to do that. Yes. So over on the side here, let me clear some of this off. Again, it's a good idea, maybe something that you have to do on your test tomorrow, of identifying if it is binary or ternary, ionic or covalent, an acid. But again, don't get caught up on ones with Roman numerals if you can't do them. Okay? Do everything but the Roman numeral. You can always put parentheses and take a guess. So, okay? But I will be happy to show you how to do it when we get to the Roman numeral ones again. But on these, Roman numerals are easy because all Roman numerals are doing is telling you the charge. When you have to figure out the Roman numeral, that's when it's a little bit more difficult. This is telling you the charge on nickel is a +2. The other one up there is telling you the charge on tin is a +4. Now it's just like any other compound.
So for these ones, you don't have to put the decimals since they're near the root.
Well, I would, yes, because it would help you hopefully to know which system you're using, so that you don't accidentally use prefixes when you're not supposed to, and not use prefixes when you are supposed to. Calcium acetate, ladies and gentlemen, is a ternary ionic compound. The reason we know that is because of the fact that it ends in an ITE ending. Anything that ends in ITE, anything that ends in ATE is ternary for sure. Now, there are a few that end in IDE that are also ternary, but again, if it ends in ATE or ITE, it's ternary. Calcium is Ca. Can you grab the door, Josie? Never mind. It's a +2. Acetate is C2H3. O2 for acetate. So acetate, we lose one less oxygen. So it is O. The charge on that is a -1, ladies and gentlemen. When you do the crisscross method, this ends up Ca parentheses C2H3O parentheses 2. Questions? Hydrobromic is a binary acid, ladies and gentlemen. That means there are only two things in it. Hydrogen is one, and bromic means that bromine is the other. Bromine is a -1, hydrogen is a +1, so I don't need to do anything with numbers down below. I put aqueous after it, and I am done. Questions? Tin sulfide is a binary ionic compound. IDE ending means that it normally is binary. I checked on the back of the periodic table. There is nothing on there that is sulfide. So we have SN, which is a +4. We have sulfur for sulfide, which is a -2. You ready for your test tomorrow, sir? That means that it is SN2S4. This can be reduced to SNS2. Questions? Chloric acid is a ternary acid. It is named from a polyatomic, and the polyatomic it is named for is ClO3, which is chlorate. Chlorate has a charge of -1. We put it with hydrogen, which has a charge of +1. We end up with HClO3 aqueous. Questions? Selenium trioxide. The tri tells me that this is a binary covalent compound. Selenium is Se. Since there's nothing in front, there is only one of them. Tri means 3. Oxide means O. SeO3. Questions? Perchromic acid is a ternary acid. Perchromic comes from perchromate, CrO5. CrO5 has a charge of -2. We never put a charge on covalent compounds. So covalent compounds, we do not have to worry about charges. CrO5 was indeed a -2 charge. We put it with hydrogen, which is a +1. That makes this H2CrO5 aqueous. Questions? Tetracarbon octahydride. Those prefixes tell me that this is a binary covalent compound. Tetra means 4, carbon means C. Octa means 8, hydra means hydrogen. C4H8, we don't reduce, we don't worry about charges, we are done. Gallium hydroxide, by the way, questions? Gallium hydroxide. Hydroxide is on the back of your periodic table, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, this is a ternary ionic compound. Gallium is a +3. Hydroxide is an OH group that is a -1. So when I do the crisscross method, I want to put a 3 by the OH, so I have to put it in parentheses, ladies and gentlemen. Questions? Nickel iodide is a binary ionic compound. Ends in IDE. Iodide is not on the back of your sheet. That means it comes from iodine. Nickel is a +2 charge. Iodine is a -1 charge. NiI2 is our compound, ladies and gentlemen. Questions? All right, the last one. Hydroarsenic acid is a binary acid. That means there are only 2 elements. There is hydrogen, which is a +1, and there is arsenic, which is a -3. Therefore, our formula is H3AsAQ. Questions? Now, there are advantages to looking at names at times. The advantage of looking at a name is if you see prefixes in it, you know automatically that it is a binary covalent compound. I will give you the prefixes on the test, just like I did on the quiz. I will tell you what 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri. But you need to know when to use them. Well, when you're looking at a name and you see these prefixes on them, these are slam dunks, ladies and gentlemen. These you should not miss. Again, if it were me and I were doing the test, I would start by finding every one that has prefixes in it. And I would do those first. I would do those first and I would get those out of the way. And then I wouldn't be thinking about prefixes again because every other compound in there has to be ionic or an acid. And you no longer have to worry about these prefixes. Now, it's a little bit more difficult when you're looking at a formula. When you're looking at a formula, you're going to see only 2 elements there. And you need to look and identify, is the first element of the 2 a metal or a nonmetal? If the first element of the 2 is a nonmetal, that is a binary covalent compound, you should be able to take and write the name for it very easily because it is, again, the prefix system. How many of the first element are there? How many of the second element are there? Change the ending to IDE. Boom, you're done. Those are easy. If it were me, this is just me, I would go through the test. I would find all those first. I would do them. Boom, get them done. To me, that's points that are easy, that are in the bank now. Farhan is telling me, hey, I still don't exactly get how to do the Roman numerals. Okay, then skip them. skip them. Worst case scenario, you write out the name for something with a Roman numeral, you take a guess at it. A 2, a 3. Okay? That's the worst case scenario. But again, I wouldn't waste my time trying to do one that I might not get right anyway and leave ones that I probably will get right undone. It just doesn't make sense to me. But again, this is your test. This is how you want to do it. Here's the other thing. After I'm done with the binary covalent, I'm going to find every acid. I'm pretty good with naming acids. I know binary acids begin with hydro. I know they end with ic acids. All I got to do is figure out what element it's with what element hydrogen is with. I can write those formulas. And I would do them all right away. Boom, 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 boom. Thinking hydrogen at the front, aqueous at the end. Boom, let's get those out of the way. Okay? Now, when you're looking at formulas, ladies and gentlemen, when you are looking at formulas, okay, the question becomes, how can I tell the difference? Okay, well, first of all, if there's 3 capital letters, it's ternary. 3 capital letters is ternary. Now, that means turn your periodic table over. There is only one polyatomic that has a positive charge. What is it? Ammonium. NH4. You'll probably have one that begins with NH4. I didn't give you one today, but you'll probably have one. Name the ammonium. Now, the ammonium might be with another polyatomic. But again, to me, I would hope that on the back side of this sheet, you could name a polyatomic if I give you the formula. NO2. Not going to find NO2 on the back of this sheet, am I? But what do I find? NO3. Okay. Well, this has obviously lost one oxygen. Well, what's NO3? Nitrate. Well, the rule is when I lose one oxygen, it becomes nitrite. That's an easy ending. Now all I got to do is figure out what Ag is. Okay? I am not trying to say that this doesn't get confusing at times. It does. But you have to find a way to straighten it out in your head to give you the best chance tomorrow. And to me, what that means is I'm going to do the ones that I think are easiest. If you've got binary ionic compounds nailed, name the metal, name the nonmetal, change the ending to IDE. Begin with those, at least with the formulas. Because again, ternary, got to be an acid or an ionic. Ternary, got to be an acid or an ionic. Binary, ionic, acid, or covalent. Okay, now I need to look at the first element. First element's a nonmetal, that's covalent. Okay? Acid, begins with H, ends with AQ. Easy to identify an acid and a formula. Easy, okay? Binary ionic. Why? Metal and a nonmetal together. If they're calling for a Roman numeral, it's got to be a metal. It's got to be, okay? So now it's a metal with one other element. That's a binary ionic, okay? Covalent, binary covalent. Why? Sulfur is a nonmetal. Okay, sulfur is a nonmetal. Ternary compound. It's not an acid, doesn't begin with H. Binary acid begins with H, has AQ, has one other element. I should be able to name that acid. Begins with hydro, ends with ic. What is B? Boron, hydroboric acid. And I'm not trying to oversimplify this, ladies and gentlemen. I am not. But what I'm saying is if you have a way of going through and at least getting some of your points, then the ones later on where you get confused, because believe me, on your quiz I saw it. I saw people give me prefixes for this compound, for this compound, for this compound, and not for that. Well, all right, at least stay consistent. If you're going to put prefixes on, put it on everything. Okay? But what would be better is if on your periodic table you wrote a note. Binary ionic or binary covalent. 2 elements, non-metal first. Use prefix system. Binary ionic, 2 elements, metal first. Name metal, end compound with IDE. Ternary ionic, 3 or more elements, metal first or ammonium. But here's the thing, if you put down metal first, well, the one with ammonium, maybe you get that one wrong, but you get all the others right. Name the metal, name the polyatomic. That's the entire naming system for a ternary ionic compound. Name the metal, name the polyatomic. Now, yes, you may have to drop an oxygen. Yes, you might have to drop 2 and put hypo in front of an ITE ending. But I think this, you guys are all intelligent enough to know how to use the back of this periodic table. You are. The problem is when you go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, sometimes your brain has a hard time shifting between which system you're using. And if you don't, just go through and do the test. Some of you are doing awesome. Awesome. But if you are, figure out which ones you are the best at and do those first. Get those points in the bank. Maybe you're best at the questions I've been asking you at the end. Go do those first on the test. Okay? Yes, Ava.
For ternary acid and binary acid, do we just put like normal endings at first and then switch to the other ending based upon what that ending is?
Okay, I want to say yes, but I'm not exactly sure. So let's begin with a binary acid. Okay? Binary acid, we're going to begin it with hydro. And it is going to end with ic acid. Okay?
At first?
Well, that's what it's going to be. Always. That's what it's going to be. Now, what you need to figure out is what is the one nonmetal it is with. Okay? Because there's only 2 elements and the first one has to be hydrogen. Okay? So, if your element is nitrogen that it is with, it will become hydronitric acid. Okay?
So for basically all of binary acids, they end with IC?
Yes, they all do. So, hydronitric acid, hydrosulfuric acid, hydroarsenic acid, hydroselenic acid, hydrosulfuric acid, hydrocarbonic acid, hydroboric acid, hydrofluoric acid, hydrochloric acid, hydrobromic acid, hydroiodic acid, hydrotelluric acid, hydroastic acid. That's all of them. That's all of them. They all begin with hydro. They all end with ic acid. We just need to name the element in the middle that the hydrogen is with. Now, your second part about a ternary. For ternary, for me, what I would do is I would figure out what the polyatomic is.
Okay, so yeah.
Now you write down the name of the polyatomic.
Do it normally and then based upon that ending.
Then based upon that ending, if it's an AT ending, drop the AT, put an ic acid on the end.
Okay.
If it is an ITE, drop the ITE, put an OUS acid on the end. I will accept minor spelling errors. If you write sulfus, SULFOUS, acid, that is a minor spelling error that I will accept. You didn't put the UR back in, I will accept that. If your minor spelling error is you write sulfite, SULFIDE, sorry, that's not a minor spelling error. You have named a different element. Okay? If you change your ATE to an ITE, that is not a minor spelling error. That is just wrong. I'm sorry. Okay? Other questions? I will be here after school. I will be here tomorrow morning. I will be here during home base tomorrow. And there is nothing in the calendar for home base tomorrow. For the next week and a half, they have taken away all the CRM lessons. And home base is basically, for me at least, I'm using it as a study hall for my kids. Meaning if you need to make up a quiz, come see me during home base. I will write a note to attendance that you are with me. You can take your quiz during home base. Okay? If you need help tomorrow during home base, now it's only 20 minutes. I can't build Rome in 20 minutes. But if you need to come and get help, I'm more than willing to. Sasha, what can I do for you? Well, I'm sorry. I totally didn't hear a word you said. I'm sorry.
The home base teacher didn't hand out the papers they were handing out today. Do you have any?
Oh, look.
I do not, because they only gave us enough for our classes.
Okay.
But what you can do is stop by guidance, and I'm sure they can give you one.
Thank you.
Okay? Here's the other thing. Even if they didn't give it to you today, that's okay. If you get it tomorrow, you guys, again, depending on what grade you are, juniors do not schedule until December 4th through the 8th, and sophomores schedule about a week before that, the end of November till the early part of December. Okay? So you didn't have to have it today. You don't have to have it done. By the way, if you have questions about what science class you want to take next or what the difference between some science classes is, I will be more than happy to help answer those questions for you. Okay? Questions, ladies and gentlemen? I think physics is very different from chemistry. Physics is a lot more math than we're doing right now. Physics, the nice part about physics is it's a more concrete science. What I mean by that is, I put you on a skateboard, I shove you, we can measure how fast you go. You will never see two atoms come together to make silver nitrate or nitrite or things like that.
What's your personal opinion?
My personal opinion, my personal opinion is, to be honest, I can't tell right now, Ava, because we haven't done a lot of math in here. And math is what normally kills people in science. Not the science, but doing the math, rearranging formulas, taking and putting things into the right spot in a formula. If you feel that you're good with that, it's not hard math, it's not going to be calculus, it's not going to be things like that, but it's going to be, okay, a formula where you have 4 different things, and you put 3 of them in the right spot and solve for the 4th thing.
You don't love science yet. You take it until you love it.
Well, here's the question, what are you going to do after you graduate from this
I'm
time?
either going to be like a psychologist or a lawyer, so I can go into science.
Then if that's the case, I wouldn't take physics if you don't have a true love for it. Okay?
That's what I was
If there's a science that you like or you're interested in, take it. That's the nice part about an elective. But I didn't have physics in high school.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Go away, get out. Get.
Do you have a class? Okay. So I know that you said that there's not an hour, third hour, but I had second lunch, not first lunch. So
Okay, then that's not going to work because I have first lunch too.
right. So
So I'm going to eat lunch. Look
right,
at this,
you're gonna
buddy.
eat lunch.
Yeah,
Okay. But is your lunch
my lunch is the first part of,
right?
after second hour, I go to lunch.
Correct. But then you come back before your third hour, correct?
I come back for my third hour.
When do you come back from lunch?
11:12.
Correct. So I can't come in while you have a class?
Yes, you can.
Oh.
Okay, if that's what we're
That's
discussing,
what
yes.
I'm discussing.
Yes, you can come in while I have a
Okay.
class. Okay, yes.
But would I need a pass for that? Like, how
You
would I do
come
that?
to my class at the start of the hour. I will write a note to attendance that says you're with me doing
Okay.
a quiz.
It's
and-
just that I don't think that my I usually go up to 309 and the teacher's usually kind of mean. So she doesn't. I don't.
Who's the
think she's gonna let
teacher?
me
Is it a regular class or is it?
It's
your-
not a class. It's my study hall, but I
Okay,
go up to 309.
then you come here.
Okay.
I send a note to attendance. You either stay with me
Okay.
during that whole period, or I send you on a smart pass back to your teacher.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank
Okay?
you.
We can do either one.
All right.
You have a bill, man.